All right, Bills Mafia, buckle up because things are getting seriously wild in Buffalo. What started as a quiet ramp up to training camp has now spiraled into a full-blown storm of injuries, lineup questions, and some unexpected drama that could shake the foundation of the offense. And yeah, I know it's early, but this is the kind of stuff that can set the tone for the entire season, especially when it involves key names like Khalil Shakir and James Cook. Let's dive in because there's a lot to unpack here. So first up, let's talk about the Khalil Shakir situation. This guy was poised to be a central figure in the passing game this season. With his speed route running and chemistry with Josh Allen, it really felt like the Bills were ready to lean on him as their top target in the slot. But now, he's sidelined with an ankle injury, and it's not a short-term thing. This isn't just a tweak. The team made it clear he's going to be out for a few weeks at the very least, and the real concern isn't just about how long he's out now, it's whether or not this injury lingers into the regular season. That's the kind of issue that can disrupt a rhythm, especially for a guy who's supposed to be one of the most targeted players in the offense. You want him healthy. You need him right, because anything less could throw a serious wrench into Buffalo's offensive identity. But the injury report doesn't stop there. Not even close. We're talking about a long list of players who either didn't practice or were limited. Cedric Van Prangranger, Maxwell Hairston, Alec Anderson, Cole, Bishop Curtis, Samuel Dorian Williams, Caden Prather, Shaq Thompson, Taylor Rapp, Tyler Bass. Yeah, all those names were either sidelined or dealing with something. And then there were the guys who were limited. Josh Palmer, Reggie, Gilliam Terrell, Bernard Spencer Brown. It's a growing list, and it's starting to have real implications on what this team can do in camp. The chemistry, the reps, the momentum. All of that gets thrown off when half the unit is watching from the sideline. And just when we thought the headlines were going to stop there, in comes the curveball. James Cook. He showed up to camp dressed in street clothes and didn't practice. No injury designation, no warning, just business. That's the word he gave when asked why he wasn't on the field. Just business. And when asked if he was practicing the next day, same answer. Business. That's all he would say. No further explanation, no clarification from the team. Nothing. It's cryptic, it's calculated, and yeah, it's starting to look like this is officially a holding. He's not skipping camp, but he's not participating either. This is a power move, and it changes everything. Let's call it what it is. This is a holding to push for a new contract, and it couldn't have come at a more dramatic time. Right when the spotlight is on the Bills right before Hard Knocks premieres, we get this cliffhanger. Cook suited up for the early parts of camp, took the reps, went through the motions, and then suddenly over the weekend he pulls the plug. Something changed. Something pushed him to make this statement, and you better believe it's going to dominate the conversation until it gets resolved. Now there have been reports that the team and Cook's camp aren't that far apart on the numbers. Tom Pelissero mentioned that there's been consistent communication and that the sides are close. And that actually lines up with some of the buzz we've been hearing, that maybe things were trending in a good direction. But clearly from Cook's perspective, it wasn't good enough. Otherwise, he'd be out there. This isn't about staying fresh. It's not a minor tweak. It's business. And that means this could drag on. Here's where it gets tricky though. The Bills have leverage. They've been in tough negotiations before. And Brandon Beane has never really folded under pressure. This front office plays the long game, and they're not going to set a precedent that players can just sit out camp and force their way into a better deal. But at the same time, this is James Cook we're talking about, arguably the second most important piece of the offense behind Josh Allen. You don't want to go into week one against the Baltimore Ravens without your lead back. And you definitely don't want this situation casting a shadow over the locker room. Because make no mistake, James Cook is vital to this offense. He's the guy who's going to touch the ball more than anyone else not named Josh Allen. His explosiveness, his ability to create in space, his improvement as a receiver out of the backfield, it's all critical to how the Bills plan to move the chains this year. So if he's not on the field, everything shifts. The tempo, the rhythm, the play calling, all of it. And while there's a certain confidence that Cook can miss some time and still be effective, you really don't want to roll those dice heading into such a crucial stretch. Now, zooming out just a bit, the injuries and the drama around Cook aren't happening in a vacuum. They're influencing the way this entire roster is being evaluated right now. Training camp is supposed to be about installing the offense, testing rotations, figuring out chemistry. And it's really hard to do that when guys are dropping like flies. Just look at the offensive line. You got Alec Anderson down with a knee issue. Cedric Van Pran-Granger hasn't practiced at all, and that's forcing other players into roles they weren't expected to take on this early. But that's also where we start to see some silver linings. One of them is Mike Edwards, second-year player out of Campbell, and this dude looks like a mountain. Just a massive human being with surprisingly quick feet for someone pushing 370 pounds. He's been holding his own, and that's no small feat considering the chaos going on around him. These are the types of stories that make camp exciting. The under-Theradar guys who suddenly get real reps and show that maybe, just maybe, they belong. Edwards might not have a clear path to the roster right now, but if he keeps showing up in practice and then delivers in preseason games, the conversation changes fast. The same goes for the wide receiver room. With so many injuries, we're seeing guys like Christian Wilkerson and Steven Gosnell getting real opportunities with the first team. Wilkerson's been bouncing around the league for a while, but he's making the most of this chance. And then there's Keon Coleman. Let's talk about him for a second because he's turning heads. Even if it hasn't all been smooth sailing, there have been drops, no question. And some of them have been the frustrating kind. Perfectly placed balls that just slip right through his hands. But then he makes the type of contested highlight reel catch that reminds you exactly why the Bills brought him in. Coleman's not going to blow your way with elite speed or twitchy acceleration. That's not his game. But when you need someone to battle through contact, win a jump ball, or post up in the red zone, he's your guy. He's doing what he was drafted to do. And with Shakir sidelined, Coleman's had a chance to carve out a real role. Alongside Josh Palmer and Keon in those 3 receiver sets, he's been seeing legit reps. Now the question becomes, what happens when Curtis Samuel and Elijah Moore are healthy again? Do they slide right back in, or has someone else earned that spot? At tight end, there's a similar story unfolding with Dalton Kincaid. After all, the hype last year, it feels like the buzz has died down a little, but make no mistake, Kincaid has been good. Really good. His connection with Josh Allen is growing, and his ability to win in tight windows is showing up every day. He had this one grab in the corner of the end zone during red zone drills that just showed off all the traits. Body control, hands, awareness. He missed one day with a sore knee, but overall he's looked strong and consistent. Behind him, Jackson. Haw has quietly been building a case for that tight end 3 spot. He's not flashy, not yet anyway. But his blocking is already NFL ready, and there's a baseline receiving ability that gives him value in certain packages. He's not going to stretch the field, but he's a guy who can help in the trenches and give you some reliability in the short game. Again, these are the types of players that rise during times like this, when the depth is tested and the reps open up. And that brings us right back to where we started. This is a camp that's been dominated by uncertainty. The injury report reads like a list of starters. The lead back is in street clothes and refusing to elaborate beyond a one-word answer. While for receiving corps is a revolving door. The offensive line is being held together by duct tape and opportunity. But through it all, we're getting a glimpse at who might be ready to step up. Who's got that next man up mentality? Who's going to use this chaos to carve out a roster spot? Because while this might feel like a setback, it's also a proving ground. This is where the depth of a roster gets tested. This is where unknown names become training camp darlings. And this is where the foundation of a team gets built. Not just in the clean scripted reps, but in the gritty, unpredictable moments when plans fall apart and players have to adapt. Now shifting the focus over to the defense, and if you thought the offense had its share of complications, you might want to sit down. Because defensively, this training camp has been just as chaotic, if not more, and not necessarily for all the wrong reasons. Yes, injuries are a factor here too, and they're significant, but this defense has also shown flashes of an entirely new identity under a more aggressive scheme. It's like watching a unit that's suddenly been given permission to take the leash off and attack. There's a new energy, a new edge, and with that comes a lot of experimentation and some very real consequences. Starting in the secondary, the names missing time are tough to ignore. Cole Bishop has been out with a quad injury. Taylor Rapp didn't suit up due to a knee, or Maxwell Hairston, the promising young corner, is dealing with an LCL sprain that's going to keep him sidelined for weeks. That kind of absence matters when you're trying to solidify your defensive backfield, especially in a year where you're expecting younger players to step into prominent roles. The Bills have always been a team that invests heavily in communication and chemistry on the back end, and losing reps in camp, that delays the cohesion. You can't fake it. You can't speed it up. Chemistry takes reps, and right now they're not getting those with the full group. But let's talk about what's working, because there's definitely been a shift in philosophy. The Bills are dialing up pressure. A lot more pressure. Five-man fronts disguised blitzes, guys coming from every angle. It's aggressive and it's clearly intentional. Sean McDermott has talked about being more disruptive on defense, and it's showing up in practice. You're seeing linebackers mug the agaps. Safeties creeping up pre-snap. There's chaos being introduced before the ball is even snapped. And that's exciting, especially if the defense can execute it without getting caught out of position. That said, it's not all clean. The aggressiveness has led to some breakdowns in the back end, and when the quarterback has time, especially a quarterback like Josh Allen, he's finding the holes. But that's what camp is for. You install the identity live through the growing pains and see who adjusts. Who communicates fast enough? Who diagnoses correctly? And so far, a few players have really stood out in that process. Terrell Bernard is one of them. Even though he's been limited, the way he's directing traffic out there when he's on the field has been impressive. He's embracing the leadership role in the middle of the defense and taking ownership of calling things out. He's vocal. He's sharp. And you can see he's starting to get comfortable being the guy in the linebacker room. Another interesting wrinkle has been watching Dorian Williams. He's been banged up too, which is frustrating because when he's out there, you can see the athleticism pop. He closes space fast. He reacts quickly. But again, consistency comes with reps. And until he's back out there full time, it's hard to get a true read on how big of a role he's ready to take on. And then you've got Shaq Thompson dealing with a hamstring injury. That one stings. Veteran presence, physicality, the kind of guy who brings edge to the front seven. Having him on the sideline takes a bit of the bite out of the defense, at least for now. But while he's out, it's giving younger players a bigger window to make an impression. And that's where someone like Baylon Spector has quietly had some moments. He's flying around, getting into passing lanes, and he's definitely one of those players that's maximizing every snap he gets while others are sidelined. Moving to the defensive line. Man, this group looks deep even with some rotation. Guys still not fully healthy. The pass rush has been swarming, especially in those install periods where they're sending heat. Leonard Floyd looks as quick as ever. Greg Rousseau seems more refined. Not just raw length and power anymore, but more technique and smarter pursuit angles. That's big. Because if Rousseau can become a guy who wins consistently with his hands and not just his frame, he changes the ceiling of the front. AJ Ebenezer is another name that's quietly having a strong camp. You're seeing better hand usage, more decisiveness. He's not just bull rushing every snap. There's some nuance now, and that's encouraging. You need that depth, especially if Von Miller isn't ready to go full throttle out of the gate. And even if he is, you can overwork him. So guys like Ebenezer, like Boogie Basham, are going to be critical early in the season. On the interior, Ed Oliver has looked sharp. Explosive off the snap, disruptive in the run game, and consistently getting penetration during team drills. His quickness continues to be a mismatch, especially against backup guards and centers. And Daquan Jones, man, that guy's just a rock. Doesn't get the attention, but he anchors that front. So disciplined, so strong, a true tone setter. And then we're seeing the rotation behind them come into focus. Guys like Poona Ford trying to carve out a spot, getting those second team reps and flashing in short bursts. But one of the most fascinating dynamics in this entire camp has been special teams, particularly the punting situation. Brad Robbins, all eyes are on him, and you can tell he knows it. Coming off a rocky stretch last season, he's back in a competition, and he's looked sharp, focused. The hang time has been solid, the placement has been better, and he's showing more consistency. It's clear he put in the work this offseason, and now it's about stacking those days, especially in front of live bullets during preseason games. You can practice all you want, but punting under pressure with a rush coming and field position on the line, that's what separates guys in this league. The kicking situation is also something to monitor. Tyler Bass is still working through pelvic soreness. Not ideal. You want your kicker dialed in this time of year, getting those reps in and building confidence. He's proven, no doubt, but it's something to keep an eye on. You don't want this lingering, especially not when games start to count. So yeah, when you take the full picture into account, offense, defense, special teams, what you're seeing at Bills camp isn't just a typical preseason script. It's a battlefield of opportunity, a stretch where the starters are fighting for rhythm, the backups are fighting for relevance, and the staff is trying to build a roster that can weather a long, brutal season. There are knowns, there are unknowns, and right now the unknowns are loud. Take the quarterback battle, for example. Not for the starting job, obviously, but for that number 2 spot behind Josh Allen. Mike White and Mitchell Trubisky are locked in, and it's tighter than people might think. Based on the practices, White might be running the offense just a little smoother. He's not as athletic nor as strong-armed, but the ball comes out fast, it's accurate, and the operation looks clean. Trubisky has the movement skills. He can extend plays, no question. But there's been some inconsistency. Missed reads, off target, throws. If the Bills are really going to be honest about it and not just lean on familiarity, then Mike White is making a strong case. And that takes us back to the philosophy of this camp. This isn't just about stars sharpening their skills. It's about finding who fits, who adapts, who's ready to contribute if called upon. Because that call will come. We all know it. Injuries don't stop in August. They don't wait for perfect timing. And the teams that survive, the ones that thrive, are the ones that build real depth and trust it. Look at the running back room again. If James Cook isn't back soon, how much faith do you have in Ty Johnson or rookie Ray Davis because they've looked solid in camp? Davis in particular has flashed that ability to catch passes out of the backfield, make defenders miss in space. But can he hold up in pass protection? Can he absorb a full workload if needed? Those are questions that will get answered in the preseason games, and you better believe the coaching staff is watching closely. This camp has also given us a look into what this offense might be evolving into. You're seeing more emphasis on running back targets in the passing game. Flat routes, angle routes, rail shots down the sideline. They're not just dumping it off anymore. There's clear intent. And that's smart because if teams are going to blitz more, if you're going to face more pressure, looks like your own defense is throwing at you every day, then having a reliable outlet to the backfield is crucial. It's also a nod to how Joe Brady might be shifting things slightly as the offensive coordinator. This group was the most efficient in the league last season when targeting running backs, yet they were in the bottom half in terms of attempts. That doesn't add up. Efficiency should drive volume, and if that philosophy is finally being embraced, it could open up a whole new layer of the attack. Imagine James Cook, Ty Johnson, and Ray Davis becoming regular threats in the passing game. That's going to force defenses to cover every inch of the field. That's going to create mismatches and open up windows for guys like Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, and Stephon Diggs if he's moved around more creatively. Now again, all of this comes with the massive if healthy asterisk. Because so far, this camp has been anything but healthy. And the reality is that's going to impact everything. How much of the offense they can install, what defensive packages they can run, how many live reps the starters get before week 1. It's a tricky balance. You want to push. You want to build toughness and timing, but you also want to survive August with your core intact. Right now, the Bills are walking that tightrope every single day. But here's the thing about all of this. The adversity, the uncertainty, the growing pains. It's not just noise. It's not just distraction. It's shaping the identity of this team. It's revealing who can handle the pressure, who steps up when things get complicated, and who's mentally tough enough to earn a spot on this roster. And whether it's a starting job, a backup role, or a special teams gig, those decisions are being made right now. Every snap, every rep, every practice. So if you're a fan watching from the outside and wondering what this team is going to look like come September, don't just focus on the big names. Pay attention to who sees in the moment when the spotlight isn't on them. Because those are the guys who might end up making the difference when it matters most. And right now in the thick of training camp chaos, that's what we're learning, who the Buffalo Bills really are. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. Rumors are swirling in the NFL universe, sparking a frenzy of speculation about a possible seismic shift in the quarterback landscape. The Kansas City Chiefs superstar Patrick Mahomes, who has been the undisputed face of the franchise and One of the most electrifying players in the league is reportedly becoming the prime target of the Buffalo Bills. This burgeoning narrative, fueled by insider whispers and emerging reports, suggests that the Bills, eager to secure a true franchise quarterback to lead their offense into the next era of dominance, are eyeing a blockbuster move to bring Mahomes to Buffalo. While the Chiefs have long been Mahomes' home, with multiple Super Bowl appearances and a championship under his belt, the buzz indicates a possible unraveling of this storied partnership. The Bills, whose offense has shown flashes of brilliance, but lacked a transcendent quarterback to push them over the edge consistently, could view Mahomes as the ultimate missing piece. This rumor, if true, would send shockwaves through the NFL hierarchy, redefining the power balance in the AFC and reigniting one of the league's most competitive rivalries with a fresh and dramatic twist. While official statements remain elusive, the mere suggestion of Mahomes donning a Bills jersey has ignited a wildfire of debate and anticipation among fans, analysts, and executives alike. Delving deeper into the swirling speculation, insiders hint at behind-the-scenes discussions that might be laying the groundwork for this blockbuster transaction. The Bills front office, known for its strategic and forward-thinking maneuvers, is reportedly exploring every avenue to elevate the team's status, and acquiring a generational talent like Mahomes fits perfectly within their ambitious blueprint. Sources suggest that preliminary talks could be underway, focusing on trade package, salary cap maneuvers, and draft capital exchanges necessary to facilitate such a monumental deal. The Chiefs, while cherishing Mahomes as their cornerstone, face growing challenges with salary cap constraints and a roster that requires retooling around their star quarterback. This financial reality might be pushing them to consider an offer too lucrative to refuse, especially if it ensures a stockpile of assets to rebuild or strengthen other critical positions. Furthermore, the timing aligns intriguingly with the NFL's off-season maneuvers, where teams recalibrate and position themselves for future success. The Bills' recent offensive struggles, despite having a talented roster, underscore the urgency to secure a franchise quarterback of Mahomes' caliber. The whispers of his potential trade have already sparked a frenzy on social media platforms, with fans and pundits speculating endlessly about the implications and the domino effect such a move could trigger throughout the league. The possible Mahomes to Buffalo saga also raises profound questions about the Chiefs' strategic future and the Bills' competitive aspirations. For Kansas City, losing Mahomes would signify the end of an era characterized by explosive offense and championship contention, thrusting the franchise into a period of transition that could reshape their identity. It would compel the Chiefs to rely on developing young talent or making additional trades to find a quarterback capable of filling the monumental void left by Mahomes. Conversely, the Bills would catapult themselves into immediate Super Bowl contention, bolstered by a quarterback widely regarded as the best in the league. This shift would dramatically alter the dynamics of the AFC East and the entire conference, challenging the New England Patriots' dominance and reshaping rivalries. The ripple effects could also influence coaching strategies, player acquisitions, and the league's overall competitive balance. Moreover, the cultural impact on both fan bases would be immense, with Chiefs fans grappling with the departure of their hero and Bills supporters dreaming of a long-awaited championship breakthrough. The narrative is rich with drama and high stakes, capturing the imagination of the football world as it watches to see if this rumor will materialize into a historic transaction. Amid the swirling rumors, speculation abounds about the personal and professional motivations behind such a dramatic shift. Patrick Mahomes, known for his loyalty to the Chiefs and his leadership role within the team, would face a career-defining decision if this trade came to fruition. Sources close to the quarterback suggest that while Mahomes thrives on competition and challenges, he also values stability and the relationships he has cultivated in Kansas City. However, the allure of a fresh start with a team hungry for success and the possibility of becoming the undisputed leader of a rising franchise could appeal to him. Additionally, the Bills fan base, eager and passionate, would likely embrace Mahomes as their new icon, fueling his drive and legacy. On the flip side, Chiefs management might weigh the benefits of restructuring the team around future prospects against the risks of losing a generational talent. The complexity of this potential move involves not just finances and on-field impact, but also the human element, the bonds, ambitions, and aspirations that shape player and organizational decisions. The ongoing buzz, filled with insider tidbits and speculative analyses, keeps the football community on edge as everyone tries to decode the next chapter in Mahomes' illustrious career. As the NFL offseason unfolds, the Mahomes-Bills narrative remains one of the most captivating storylines, charged with uncertainty and tantalizing possibilities. Industry insiders continue to dissect every hint, trade rumor, and front office move, searching for clues that might confirm or debunk this blockbuster possibility. The potential trade encapsulates the high-stakes nature of professional football, where teams constantly maneuver to gain competitive advantages and redefine their futures. If the rumors hold any truth, the NFL could be on the cusp of witnessing one of the most dramatic and game-changing trades in recent memory, with far-reaching implications that transcend the field. Fans from both camps are eagerly awaiting official announcements, knowing that the outcome will either confirm the rumor's explosive promise or leave the league buzzing with what-ifs and near misses. Regardless of how this story unfolds, the mere existence of such speculation underscores the immense impact Patrick Mahomes has on the sport and how a single player's movement can reshape the entire NFL landscape, fueling conversations, debates, and dreams across the football world. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.